Welcome back to the weekly event of the week, the Warcraft news. Now, did you know that Warcraft logs accidentally opened a big can of worms that threatens to revolutionize raiding in WoW forever in a rather scary way? Now you do. The forecast also gives us an extremely high chance of patch 10.2 news this week, while Mythic Plus Toxicity has reached a level beyond all belief, and there's also a ton of evidence that, like with Scholomance, old Scarlet Monastery will be making a return to the game. It's been a crazy week of stuff, so let's just get stuck in. Right then, add-on drama. A while ago, Warcraft logs decided to fix an ongoing problem in the game: augmentation evoker damage not being on meters. Now, the short version of this is that add-ons can only access in-game data through the API, but working out how much damage belonged to the augvoker isn't done there. Those calculations are done as part of advanced combat logging, likely to just reduce load on the game and its servers. Now, that log is printed to a file on your PC, and then Warcraft Logs reads that after the fight to log it. Basically, to see your real true damage as an augvoker, you need to log and then check the details on a website after, which, yes, is a bit goofy. But the thing is, the file is being written while you play, and the Warcraft Logs team just finished a new rewrite of their client, so they can add new features. Now, a quick trip over to the other game that Warcraft Log supports, and that is FF14. Now, their damage meter isn't an in-game add-on at all. It's actually a separate tool called ACT, which runs on your PC, reads network packets, and then creates a graphical overlay over the game. So they had an idea. Oh, how about we do an overlay? And as it turns out, WoW's log is written with a tiny delay. It used to be longer, and that's why nobody actually bothered, but with better technology, Blizzard have actually been able to improve that. So the team made this, a damage meter created by their program entirely outside of the game that reads the file as the game writes it, and then overlays that on top of your window. And honestly, it's a great idea. It opens up the damage meter to way more customization with way more features, and it solves the augmentation evoker damage problem. Then someone had an idea. Urkra posted to r/competitive WoW saying that using overlays could effectively become weak auras on crack. So they created outside auras, a proof of concept that reads combat log data, which includes information that is hidden from the likes of weak auras, things like player position and stuff in the new private aura system that Blizzard added. And as an example, this completely automates solving the mythic Naltharian bomb mechanic. The current top comment in the thread calls it casually opening Pandora's box, and OP replied, "I would rather have the box opened right now than when the new raid releases," which is really almost everything you need to know here, because actually there is the Pale Beyond art book available at store.bellular.games along with the other collector's edition goodies. And now that I've done my store plug, back to the story. Ultimately, Blizzard needs to step in and respond to this, and actually it seems they are. Here is what CM Kyvax said, quote, "We intend to make changes to how the advanced combat log is populated in advance of Dragonflight Season 3 that will prevent its use in this way." Now, this was responding to a poster who linked Wowhead's coverage of Urkra's post, and it really leaves a question for us. Will Warcraft Logs' new overlay that solves the in-game damage meter problem live, or will it also be rendered inoperable? Because the latter, it poses an interesting question. Augvoker damage is not being represented by details, and that ultimately is a limitation of Blizzard's API. And at the end of the day, that is a problem in the game the players are facing, the Blizzard knows they're facing, that, the game just currently doesn't support. So I've got to wonder then, if support specs are going to be more of a thing in the future, Blizzard are going to need to make these things be better. This one isn't really news as much as it is a look at one of the most insane things I've ever seen and a downside of cross-realm trading. It is a Mythic Plus extortion group. So, Hassani tweeted of their adventure into a Brackenhide 16. It was a smooth run, right until the last boss, where the tank and one of the DPS demanded 50k gold, right there, or they would not finish the dungeon. And of course, that was insane, so Hassani refused to pay, and off they went into the night. And completely empty-handed without finishing the dungeon. An utter waste of time for everybody involved. Now, I think you at least have got to appreciate the creativity here. Holding somebody's key to a ransom for gold is pretty smart, though maybe a 16 for 50k wasn't the best choice. It also is a massive shithead thing to do, of course, and apparently a reputation that one of these players already has, and it's obvious that this would be a bannable offense for intentionally disrupting gameplay. Blizzard should know what to do here. I just bring it up because it's a crazy story facilitated by game mechanics. Game mechanics, the inclusion of which many of us actually liked because cross-realm trading is dead handy, but always there will be crackheads who use it for ill. But of course, Blizzard should know what to do, and with Classic Hardcore releasing this week, hopefully it doesn't give anybody any ideas. And speaking of Mythic Plus, there have been nerfs. The God Comp, Bear, Holy, Fire, Shadow, Og is finally being nerfed like crazy, and Mythic Plus scaling itself is being nuked to compensate for it. Guardians lose some shield and self-healing, Fire Mage loses a decent chunk of AoE damage, and Holy Paladin's damage gets a crazy 10% nerf, while Assassination Rogues get a 5% buff to ability and attack damage, Prot Warriors get some extra survivability and damage, and Mistweavers got some power shifted around. And in response to all this nerfing and changing, Mythic Plus keys themselves above level 20 have had their scaling nerfed, from 10% extra per level down to 8%. Above Mythic Plus 24, this becomes, well, actually more than a full key level of a nerf, and at 30, it becomes around a 2-level nerf. And that just goes to show what compounding numbers are like. So yeah, I don't know, stonks. Anyway, this is the strange thing about buffs and nerfs on the fly, because before this, people were saying the God Comp nerfs basically meant that this season was over and that nobody could do any higher keys than before. So Blizzard have made the right move here. On that, actually, here's a quick look at a graph provided by Jordan on Twitter of the top 0.1% specs in Mythic Plus. Maybe we'll dig into this more in the future, but the key takeaways are this. The closer the dots, the more balanced the season, and it leaves Dragonflight Season 1 as basically the most balanced season since Battle for Azeroth. And Season 2, of course, is actually the least. A pretty crazy situation then. Certainly at the start of this season, we all went in, we were having fun, it was the normal time, but with the rise of the God Comp, it is absolutely fair to say that the more hardcore Mythic Plus community have had issues, particularly with it, and the implications of the Augmentation Evoker, because it ends up being a little bit of a role, even though it's really a DPS, but just a particularly strong one. But there's like no other supports in the game, so it ends up being quite weird. Wonder what they'll do in the future, but let us move on. Time for SM to come back. Some data mining has actually discovered the telltale signs of it getting the old Scholomance treatment in 10.1.7. So Wowhead discovered an old item, and that item is the Scarlet Key. Back in the day, you needed a key to access the armory and cathedral wings of Scarlet Monastery, and this one has the description: retrace the steps of those who came before. Now that is flavor text. Oh, and there was also a Scarlet Monastery of Old spell, which unlocks access to, well, yeah, Scarlet Monastery. Yeah, these are telltale signs. Overall then, I think it's amazing that somebody in the team evidently is just able to throw these back into the game so quickly. This one probably won't have the same amount of extra stuff as the Scholomance and Nax Tier 3 whole thing that they did, but if it's even half as atmospheric and nostalgic to explore, this will be a huge win. Expect, of course, any and all missing transmogs from the old version to be made available here, as well as any crafting recipes to be added as the new ancient versions that they've started doing. Basically, how cool. And next, let's talk about the future of the game. This evening will be Gamescom opening night live, and with a community manager publicly tweeting excitement for Gamescom, we can, I think, almost be certain that Blizzard are going to be talking about 10.2 in just a few hours. They'll either have a slot at the big showcase tomorrow to show off 10.2, or maybe they'll just use Gamescom itself as a week to just do a big old media tour on the go. Interviews, features, you know, with the likes of PC Gamer and IGN, that kind of thing. And to be honest, I'm actually surprised at how excited I am to see what's going on here. I mean, Emerald Dream, right? Major Emerald Dream story content. I mean, for the first time in the game's history, we're properly going there, and with the whole mystery on Verinoth's potential swap to our side looming, if nothing else, it'll be an interesting reveal. And the thing is, they've got such a crammed schedule with WoW things that they basically have got to do the 10-2 announcement soon so that, you know, they can hop into the PTR, yada yada yada, and get everything to fit before, of course, BlizzCon happens in November. Crazy. A host of new data mine transmogs are here. So this is the Forsaken tabards. They're finally here, and they show the split between the Crispy Queen's Loyalist tabard, featuring Sylvanas' Shattered Mask, and the regular Forsaken Champion tabard. Of course, no matter how you feel about her, you can go and show it off with the tabard. Next then, a little bit of minor character lore via new Chromie shoulders. These are the new time-spun shoulders in the game files, accompanied by their time-worn counterpart. We've got no clue where these come from, but they're an ensemble with a curious name, Temporal Burdens. It's not really clear why a future Chromie becomes Morchi, but this does give us the hint. Temporal Burdens obviously implies doing what she does is heavy and that it takes a toll. Morchi's shoulders, being the time-worn one, finishes the story. At some point in Morchi's timeline, Chromie must get worn down by the burden that she's got to do to keep Nosdormu from turning into Morozond, turning her to the infinite side and turning the shoulders blue, I suppose. Maybe, who knows? But either way, they're pretty cool shoulders. The last cool thing found is actually this, reindeer dragon riding stuff. So that'll be the new Winter's Veil update that's coming then, clearly with plenty of dragon riding being involved. And I suppose that answers the question of how Great Father Winter gets around Azeroth so fast. Okay, with those new transmogs and items, let's talk about a few other things to round off the news. You know the way your calendar, maybe, has been full of raid boost invites for ages now? There's good news here. Blizzard are finally introducing a fix. In 10.1.7, calendar invites will be restricted only to friends and guild members. So if you want your invites from strangers again for whatever reason, maybe on a role-playing server, you can turn that feature off, but otherwise it will prevent you getting that calendar spam, which is just great. Then, the ping system has finally got some new sounds added. Before, they were just the same little ping noise, but now most of them have actually got unique sounds. And we assume then that the missing ones will be there for launch. Now, this is absolutely perfect for accessibility, but also it's just better for everybody, because now you'll be able to react without even having to bother looking at the icon itself. I mean, sound design. It's one of the most important yet least talked about parts of video games to an audience, but it is amazing. It's a great way to pump information into your brain super fast, so good on you, Blizz. I'm really happy about that. Next then, the Arcane Forge, which was mysteriously added to the game, making us all wonder what the hell it was. It has now been removed from the PTR, which implies that perhaps it was a 10.2 feature pulled into the build early, or something like that. Whatever it is, it's a good mystery. I hope it's back soon, because I'm kind of dying to find out what the damn thing is anyway. And that's actually it for the news this week. It is a more, calm before the storm, so go do your Kalimdor Cup, get your races done, and of course get ready for much more WoW to come, because it does seem that is what is going on with the patch 10.2 reveal almost certainly being extremely imminent. All right. That's it for us. Of course, if you want to support what we do, you can check the links in the description, including our Pale Beyond collection at the Bellular Games store, store.bellular.games. With that, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.